Hello everybody and welcome to Skrrt Garage. My name is Connor and today I've got a cool little video for you. What we're going to be doing is a motor oil change, a manual transmission fluid change, and a rear differential fluid change. This is important to me because I just got this car. It's a 2018 BMW M2 and I don't know the previous service history, and of course I could call up BMW and see if they would let me know what has been done to the car, but I would feel a lot better just changing out all of the fluids all at once. Now, it only costs, about $200 to $300 to buy all the supplies necessary, and it's only something, especially, the rear differential and the manual transmission fluid, it's something that you might only be doing once in your ownership, so it's just kind of worth it for that peace of mind for me. So today what I'm going to do is show you how to change the motor oil, the rear differential fluid, and the manual transmission fluid. Now those two, the manual transmission and the rear differential, this will work for all cars of the F80X platform. So this, the M2 from 2016 all the way up until now, if you have a manual transmission or the rear differential, and it will also work for the BMW M3 and M4, the F80, F82. The motor oil service, it's really pretty similar with all BMWs I've ever owned. You can even see this thing behind me, it's old 1991 BMW E30 Touring, and it's the exact same service with that car for the oil change. So really pretty easy stuff, guys. I will be leaving the link and the quantity of how much stuff you need in the description box below to make it easy for you. So if you can, please give this video a big old thumbs up. Make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. And with that, let's get this video started. Okay, these are all the tools that you will need. We'll start up here. This is the motor oil. It is OW30 and you need 7 jugs of it. Then we come to this. This is MTF, also stands for manual transmission fluid. You'll need 2 of these. And when we get moving on to the rear differential, you will need this right here. Now, again, you will have all of these parts in the description box below. If you want to just click on that, you can go grab them and make your life easy. With that, this is a drain plug for the rear differential. It has a nice little rubber O-ring to make sure none of that fluid gets back onto your garage. You'll need a 14mm hex. You probably don't have one of these in your standard toolkit, so make sure you buy one of those ahead of time. This is for the oil filter cap. A lot of people use like rubber, silicone handled ones to get it off, but it's nice just to have the correct size to make it easy on yourself and to not hurt anything. So I'll leave a link in the description for this as well. All these other ones, these are just the extra parts that you will need. This is the engine oil filter. Need one of those with the new O-rings. Of course, you need some torque wrenches to get everything back torqued to spec. And with that, guys, let's get started. Okay, after you have driven the car around and got everything ready, go ahead and put a wheel chock down and begin to jack up the car. It's important to use little BMW jacking points, and it's also important to use some jack stands and to make sure that the car is completely level when doing this job. After that, it's really pretty simple from here. Just go open the hood and get a quick visualization of what you're going to be working with today. And after that, we will jump down beneath the car and we'll begin draining. Here you need a 17mm socket. I like to use my little impact wrench gun thing. It just makes sure that every time you unscrew it, you don't get a whole bunch of oil on your hands. Now when you see me move the camera here, what I'm actually doing is using my large light above the camera to look at the oil consistency. It's usually a good idea just to look at it, make sure there's nothing goopy, milky, or especially irony with metal particles in there. After that, you can jump up top and begin to put some paper towels around the oil filter area. This just makes sure that when you take the oil filter cap off, it's not completely messy and dripping oil all over your nice clean engine bay. I like to use a little another oil drain catch pan when I do my oil filter changes, because it can get a little bit messy. Right here I'm using an oil filter removal tool that I showed you guys earlier. You just pull the oil filter out with the filter still attached. Now this point, I'm gonna actually slow down a little bit because I do think it's important. Normally when you're looking at your oil, you have to look at it in your oil catch can or your oil pan, which is black. And so you never really get a great visual of what your oil looks like. And so now is a great opportunity to get some light. You have a background of metal so you can see everything that you'd like to see. Take a moment and look at your oil, see if you need to diagnose anything. I think that what I had in there looked really good and there's nothing to be worried about. So just want to highlight that for the future if you guys don't commonly do that. Now it's time to change out the O-rings and a few of the crush washers. The first thing I like to do when I swap out these is to change the oil draining crush washer. A lot of people forget to do that and it can be a sore spot down the road if you develop an oil leak. After that, grab a little pry tool and change out the 2 O-rings that are on the oil filter itself. There is a small one and then there's a larger one towards the base of the oil filter. So go ahead and remove that, and it's a good idea that when you do put the new O-ring back on that you put some oil around it, and all that really does is just make sure that when you're screwing it back into the oil filter housing, it doesn't squeak like crazy. And sometimes if there's no oil on that little O-ring, you can get false readings of your torque setting because it can have some friction on the way in and you'll think that you're all the way torqued down, but you're actually not. So it is just a good idea to go ahead and make sure that there's oil all over that. Next, all you have to do is just spin it back into place, remove the little paper towels that you had surrounding it. You will grab that oil filter tool again. You pop that on there and then you're going to be torquing this down to exactly 25 Newton meters or 18.5 foot-pounds. Okay, here I put a little bit of brake cleaner on a paper towel and cleaned up the residual oil that was left on top of the oil filter. And now I'm back underneath the car, spinning back in the 17mm drain plug with a new crush washer, of course. You will also be torquing the drain plug to 25 Newton meters or 18.5 foot-pounds of torque. Alright, now it is time to finally fill up the oil in this car. Most places you'll say that you can use up to 7 liters. I ended up putting in 6.5 liters, and when I checked the oil at the end of the oil change, electronically within the car it said that it was perfect, exactly at the max line. So I would suggest that you start with 6.5 or less, and if you need to top it off a little bit more, you can. This one right here is the 6, so you can see me kind of pulling it away, checking how much I put in and giving it a little bit more. And from here you are done. Just clean everything up and electronically check the oil level within the car. It takes about 5-10 minutes. You have to first drive the car, but once you get that done, you are ready to shut the hood and move on to the next project. Okay, now it's time to finish up the differential. I didn't mention this in the tools that you'll need because I have a lot of these just in my garage, but you will be needing one of these pumps. I'll leave a link in the description like always. We have our new differential drain cap here, a torque wrench, and of course the fluid. Okay, now we're going to slide the oil drain pan underneath the differential, and I'm going to show you guys the oil fill and drain plugs. So first the fill plug up here, and then the drain plug right underneath it. You will need a 14mm Allen and an extension in order to make clearance for your torque wrench, or at least I needed it to make clearance for my torque wrench. Once you break free the fill plug, you then go ahead and move straight on to the drain plug, and you go ahead and get that free as well. Now from here, what I would recommend if you have one is to use a motorized ratchet. Now this is important because the differential fluid, if you've never changed it, actually is really stinky, and if it gets onto your clothes, it is hard to get off. So if you do have one, use one. It'll save your hands, it'll save the smell from getting onto your clothes, and yeah, it's just really stinky stuff. I should mention somewhere in here that we are doing the differential fluid second because in order to completely drain the differential fluid, it must be warm, at least warm, preferably even hot. So that's why it's always recommended you drive your car around for 5-10 minutes before you do your differential fluid. Now you see me here, I'm actually removing the fill plug now, and that's hopefully just to get out any extra that could be in the differential. Once I have that out, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the surfaces and make sure that everything is good to go. After about 10 to 15 minutes, you are now good to clean up the oil around the drain plug and go ahead and spin the drain plug back into place. You're going to be torquing this down to 60 Newton meters or about 44 foot-pounds. Okay guys, this is as simple as it looks. We're just gonna put this on this end right here, feed it down into this bottle, and then pump it up into the differential. Make sure that when you do feed the hose into the differential that it's completely in there. I've seen it too many times and it's happened to me before when you don't have it completely inside the differential, you begin pumping and then all of a sudden the hose comes out and it's a huge mess. Also, make sure that the hose itself is clean. After you've done this, just allow the fluid to overflow. I've also seen too many people rush to put the cap on so fast that they think that they're trapping, I guess, more differential fluid in there. It's not necessary, guys. You know, it was designed, if the car is completely level, it was designed in order to overflow enough to have the perfect amount in there. So if the car is completely level, don't rush to get the cap back on. You don't want more fluid in there than it has to be. If that was the case, then it could just try to find other ways to leave the differential, if you know what I'm saying. So after that, go ahead and torque it back down. The fill plug is also 60 Newton meters or 44 foot-pounds. Okay, these are the tools that you will need. You will need a 10mm socket, an 8mm socket, a 8mm Allen, another pump, the fluid, the manual transmission fluid, and of course a torque wrench to torque everything to spec. All right, let's get started. Okay, crawling under the M2, we have a few little nuts and bolts we need to take off. The first of which are these 8mm down here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and this is a 10mm. So we'll take this 10mm off last, and we'll do all of the other 8mm first. So let's get started. Here is the drain, and over here is the fill plug. So we are ready. Okay guys, unfortunately my camera died during the draining step, but it's really pretty easy. All you have to do is take off the drain bolt of the manual transmission fluid and allow it all to come out. Once it's drained, you can then grab your new pump and place it onto the new bottle of manual transmission fluid. Just unscrew the cap, place the new pump on, make sure that it's tight and you have a good seal, and then you're ready to get back underneath the car. Once underneath the car, clean off the drain bolt area and thread back in the drain bolt. Once that's all in and ready to be torqued down, grab your torque wrench and an 8mm Allen, and you're going to tighten this back down to 47 Newton meters or 35 foot-pounds. Okay, now you're ready to grab the manual transmission fluid and your newly installed pump and pump all the fluid that you need to back up into the manual transmission. Remember, it has to be level and you're pumping it until the excess overflows and drips down into your catch can. Now this is important. Like I said earlier, don't try to fit too much more into the manual transmission fluid than is necessary. Just allow a slow drip, then cap it back up, clean up the residual oil, and grab your 8mm Allen and torque this also to 47 Newton meters or 35 foot-pounds. Okay guys, we're back and we are done with all of the servicing of the car. I'm really pretty amazed with how easy BMW has made it to service their vehicles. The entire process from start to finish, even recording everything, only took me about 2, maybe 2.5 hours. And guys, I'm slow. I really take my time. You can probably tell in the video, I like triple checked all of my torque specs. So it's really easy to do and it's not worth paying. I've heard some people charge like $600 to change the manual transmission fluid. And guys, you saw that took me no longer than 30 minutes max. So follow the steps, use the torque specs, get wrenching on your BMW. It's really easy and it's a lot of fun. And if you take care of these cars, they will take care of you. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give it a big old like and subscribe, and we will see you next video. Peace.